When we get back, Alan Claypool of TAC4 joins me. He's got another Tackle with TAC4 civilized discussion tonight about immigration. We'll tell you how you can participate after this. But first, the Republic Bank and Trust Company Bloomberg update. 84 WHAS. I am joined in the studio this morning by my friend Alan Claypool with TAC4. And Alan has been on the show numerous times. You're like a repeat offender now.
3 times, I believe.
I think I'm going to get shirts made for repeat offenders. Something sporty, you know? I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to think about that. I keep saying to the people, there's a core group of people that are at every Cocktails and Conversation event. I mean, every single one of them. And you know what it is? They help create the fun environment that Cocktails and Conversation it really is. I mean, they're fun and they ask questions, and now they've made friends with each other, you know, so it's kind of like, hey, how you doing? It's kind of nice. And I always say, I got to make shirts for those people too, or at least buttons or something, you know. By the way, Cocktails and Conversation tomorrow night at the Captain's Quarters. It is Wednesday night instead of Thursday night. Our tables are booked up right now, and I'm really happy about that because there's a lot of tables. There's a whole lot of tables there, but they are still accepting reservations for standing room only. However, I do want to say this. We always have people who no-show for whatever reason. They get sick. They can't make it. So if you're still planning on coming out, I welcome you. We'll squish everybody together as we always do and make it a great time. Now, tonight, though, big event for you. You're doing another Tackle with TAC4 event.
Yes.
And for people who don't know what the Tackle with TAC4 events are, explain in a nutshell for me, Alan.
Okay. Well, it all started from our business ventures. We give seminars on 9 ground rules for cohesive team behavior. And in business, we get business people who are entrenched in their own way of thinking, entrenched to believe that my department is right and your department is wrong. We get these people to change their perspective and start hearing the needs of the other side in order to solve their own problem. The best way to solve my problem is to hear what my opposition is resisting and try to understand what their needs are. And when we gave these seminars, somebody asked us, how do you apply these ground rules to politics? And I said, I don't. And so that really challenged me to say, how come I don't? Why don't I listen to the other side? Why do I blame and accuse and complain all the time about politics, which I do? And so we started these events to try to do the same thing in politics that we do in business, which is really to get people who are deeply entrenched in their own way of thinking to hear what the other side is saying and what they're concerned about. It's not always about value differences. Sometimes it's that there are competing needs and we're not meeting the other side's needs by our own solution. So how can we tweak our solution in order to hear the needs of the other side and better meet their needs as well as our own?
So you've done several of these and they've gone swimmingly. And what I find interesting is that you challenge the audience to kind of be the judges, not of who won the argument, but who adhered more completely to the ground rules.
That is how we've done it in the past, and it has gone swimmingly in the past. And what I will say is that it hasn't gone as well as I had hoped. They've been fantastic. They've been the most respectful debates we've had. However, I think we still have been falling shy of really hearing the needs of the other side, especially with our last debate. We had gun control, which is a very heated issue in general. And so it just still kind of devolved into that echo chamber of, but you all do this, but you all do this.
Right.
Even though it was respectful disagreement, there was still a lot of blame and a lot less of hearing the needs of the other side. And so because of that, we're changing the format dramatically for our debate. Yes.
Oh, now, but you're still, let's whip through the 7 ground rules real quick for people that have never heard them before. And we won't spend as much time discussing them as we have in the past, but they're great. I mean, they really are great. So let's start. We got 7 ground rules that are going to be the basis for this discussion tonight about immigration.
Yes, we call them the star of the show. The ground rules are the star of the show because they really dictate how our entire philosophy and how we behave during it. So the first ground rule is show respect with no hint of blame. No hint of blame whatsoever towards
hard.
Not just to the person, but to the whole side on the other side. All the people on the other side. We're just running away from blame. And
you realize that
respect.
You're asking people to just shed their ego right there.
Fantastic. Yes.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
And
anyway.
it's because we want to solve the problems.
Right.
We want to actually start meeting needs, and we don't meet needs if we care about me instead of us. And caring about us still means that I care about my own needs as well, but it doesn't mean that it means that I don't care exclusively about my needs.
Okay.
I also care about yours. Ground rule number 2, assume positive intent from all on the other side.
This is the hardest thing to do, and it is the hardest thing I've been trying to incorporate these into just my life, my viewpoints, the way I'm looking at people.
I'm so proud of
and
you.
there are some, well, I wish I was better at it. And there are some times when I mean, honestly, Alan, it's like I am trying so hard to assume positive intent, but because I see such a negative outcome, I cannot understand how someone could not see that even though they may be well-intentioned, it is not going to end up the way they want it to. And that is the hardest one to say, okay, they want the best as well. For me, that's incredibly difficult.
Do you care if I read a piece of a quote from Alexander Hamilton?
Oh, no, go ahead.
That's exactly about this. So here, Alexander Hamilton in 1787 or whatever, when he was trying to convince people to ratify the Constitution, he wrote the Federalist Papers and he wrote Federalist Paper number 1. And so he's saying, I wrote this Constitution, part of it. I believe in it. I believe it is what we need. And he said, in Federalist Paper number 1, I must admit that men of opposition, meaning those who don't want, yes, may be actuated by upright intentions. We see wise and good men on the wrong as well as on the right side of questions the first magnitude to society. This would furnish a lesson of moderation to those who are ever so much persuaded of their being right in any controversy. So it's really saying, even way back then, I know that I'm right and you're wrong. That's a dangerous place to be. I need to actually believe that there are good people on both sides, that we are really all trying to make the world a better place. Even if certain actions that we have may not be well-intentioned, overall, we all are trying to make the world a better place, and I need to believe that if we're going to solve our problems.
Okay, number 3.
Understand and care about the needs, about the other side's needs, fears, and proposed solutions. And the way we're changing our format, I'll tell you in a minute, but it really is all about that ground rule right there, that I need to get deeply in touch with my own needs and what I'm trying to solve, what fears I have, what concerns from the other side, what rights I'm trying to protect, what my fears are, slippery slope type fears, and how my solutions meet my own needs, but I also need to care about your needs and how I need to maybe tweak my solution to better meet your needs.
Okay. Number 4.
Do not complain without offering solutions with realistic action steps that meet both sides' needs.
I've been living that for years. That's like I tell my friends who complain about an issue and I urge them to get involved and they don't. And I say, well, then you're just, I say the B word at that point. Well, then you're just, if you're not offering solutions, all you're doing is complaining, and I don't have time for that.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel about our legislative session right now. Go ahead. Number 5.
Clarify opinion from fact. In politics, we so often just state our opinion as though it's the truth, as though it's fact. And even statistics and studies, they're all just mired in our own worldview. And so at our debates, we actually require people to say, I believe or I think, as opposed to just saying, well, this is true because this statistic says it's true. When we do, I was a math major and read a book, How to Lie with Statistics. Statistics are just, you bring to your own worldview to any conclusion from statistics.
Well, I would say this, too. There was a very interesting article. I shared it on the show, and it was in December, about there is a half-life for facts, and that all of our facts change every 45 years. So depending on your age, everything you learned as a child is suspect. Now, that doesn't mean every fact is going to change every 45 years, but if our facts are changing and our facts have been proven wrong, then you have to reconsider what we say, and you have to recognize the fluidity of the situation.
And I think the last time I was on, we talked about how every study, there's another study with the exact same conclusion.
I'm waiting for that chocolate cake is good for you study. It still has not happened yet,
though. It will come out.
Number 6.
Seek truth and workable solutions over political positioning.
I'm right there with this one. I'm ready to blow up the two-party system because of political positioning. I'm tired of putting party before the Commonwealth or before the country, and I'm over it. I'm over it.
Down deep, I do believe our politicians started, most of them at least, started in order to solve things, in order to seek truth. But the system is just so, it forces you to get entrenched. If you're going to get reelected, if you're going to be able to vote on anything with any power, be able to lead a committee, you have to be entrenched and stop listening to the other side. And we're not going to solve our problems if we stay like that.
Number 7.
where there are core philosophical differences, define the differences without accusation. So this recognizes that in politics, we do come from different value systems. And so, but we seldom get down to what those core philosophies are. So first, let's do our best to really get down to what the core difference is. At a value level, what are our differences? And now we recognize it. Now we understand why my solution is different from yours, because we believe this thing different from each other. That's very core philosophical difference. Just define those differences without accusation and move on to the next conversation.
Okay. We're going to take a very quick time out. Then we're going to come back and talk about how these rules are going to be applied tonight in tonight's debate about immigration. And to be perfectly honest, I said it on the show a little while ago, I think now we can have an even-headed debate about immigration. In 2008, it would have been far more difficult because it was such a hot topic and such a vitriolic issue and so divisive. And I think now is the time for us to have discussions that might actually ferret out some real solutions to this situation. Good. I'll be right back with Alan Claypool from TAC4. We'll also tell you how you can actually go to tonight's event and participate and see how everything works. We'll do that after this on 84 WHAS. 84 WHAS in the studio with Alan Claypool from TAC4. TAC4. What does your business do, by the way, Alan? People keep asking me. You're a consultancy?
Yes, we're a management consulting firm, and we work with executive leadership teams to get those teams to behave this way. Inside the CEO and his vice presidents to actually start talking to each other and get them behaving according to these principles. And
because corporate culture is from top down.
It is.
Yeah.
And we spread it throughout the rest of the organization, and it's got a very powerful effect on productivity.
Good. So you Tackle with TAC4 came about because someone challenged you to apply the 7 ground rules to politics.
Yes.
And you've done what events? You've done gun control. What was the first one?
The first one was campaign finance reform.
Oh, that's right. And
then we did universal health coverage with a couple of physicians, local physicians in town. And then we did gun control, which was crazy.
Well, yeah. But see, here's the thing, and I mentioned this before. I have a belief, and I've long held it, that the American people, or just people in general, we can only have fire in our belly for one topic at a time. So right now, the fire in our belly is about gun control. The fire in our belly in 2008 was on immigration. We've now, that fire's kind of died down. It doesn't mean that it's not an important issue, but the fire may have subsided to a level where we can have a discussion about what to do. Now, who is participating tonight?
We have Kate Miller from the ACLU of Kentucky, who is going to be talking, and immigration is one of her specialties, and Tomas Mauricio is a radio host for Advocate for America in Danville, and he is an immigrant himself, and he's writing a book on immigration as well. So they are going to be our panelists talking about immigration, and I do think we're doing a new format, which I'll talk about in a second, but I think that our 2 panelists are very well suited for this new format going well, because both of them, while they deeply believe what they believe on each side of the fence, they are also curious people. They are also people willing to hear the other side, willing to try to meet needs that maybe their current position is not meeting. So I think it's going to be a really respectful, good, productive debate. So how is this one different than the other ones? Well, like I said before, the gun control one, and really it was kind of the same as the other 3, but in the gun control specifically, I was trying to figure out why in these political debates, we're not making as much progress as we make in business. In business, I get CEOs who are deeply entrenched and deeply believe that I'm right and my people are stupid to have a paradigm shift and to really start hearing that maybe they have a responsibility, that they were doing something that was causing bad behavior of their staff. And we made a lot of progress in business and it's really quick progress to get them to paradigm shift. And I started saying, why is it successful in business and I'm not being as successful in the political discussions that we're having? And I wrestled with it and talked to a few people and finally came up with one key change, which is that in business, the way I get them to paradigm shift is I ask them, tell me something that you complained about this week. Tell me something that you were frustrated by, and make it specific and make it a person that you're frustrated with. And they're always talking about some person that's not in our room. somebody that's outside the room, and I am able to get them to change their paradigm shift without blaming them, with maybe just bringing up some thoughts that the other side might be thinking, but that other person's not in the room to emotionally hijack them.
Right.
Okay, and that's what's really happening. We see that they are getting emotionally hijacked in our political discussions. And so we're changing it to where the beginning of the first half of the debate is not a debate at all. So they first get to have a monologue. I'm going to introduce the ground rules. Then they each get to have a monologue, and then we send one of them out of the room. Kind of like the newlywed game. Okay? It's very exciting. And so with that one person, we're going to get them down to their core needs that they're trying to solve, their fears that they're trying to protect, and how their solution meets those needs and fears. And we're going to write it on the board. So it's me and two other coaches that are good at probing questions, active listening type things, and we're going to get them down to their core needs and write it on the board. And then we're going to hide the board and swap them. And do the same thing for the second panelist. Get down to their core needs and fears, how their solutions meet those fears, and swap them again. And then show the first person the second person's board, the second person's core needs, and say, you have to believe that their core needs are valid. You have to see that your solution may not currently be meeting their needs. How can you tweak your solution so that it meets their needs better? And we can keep them from getting emotionally hijacked and yet still also get them to that paradigm shift of, oh, okay, that is something that I wasn't necessarily seeing before. Do the same thing for the other person, and then after they've walked a mile in each other's head, then we're bringing them together for a debate.
Wow.
I'm so excited about it. Sorry, that was a weird sound.
You're so nerd. But you know what? Here's the thing. It's like anything that is going to be productive, I think should be, this is a completely different way of looking at it. And if it works, does it matter if it's weird,
I'm thrilled about it. I really think it's going to open the discussion up. By the time we get to the debate part, they're going to already be on each other's side at least more than they were to begin with.
Right.
So those accusations aren't going to be as strong. They still might venture into that a little bit.
It's very difficult to drop a defensive posture. When you're put when you're put back on your heels, it's very hard to give up that position.
Yes,
I mean, it's very hard.
Because you're protecting something, right? I mean, you get defensive because you're feeling blamed. You get defensive because, my hunter-gatherer instinct comes back up. And even though we aren't, actually being attacked by something, we feel attacked, and so our defenses come up. That's right. You've got to protect yourself.
And it is difficult. I mean, it takes it's a much better person than I to be able to immediately snap out of that and say, okay, we're going to move on.
Yes.
I mean, I know a person that can do that, but not many. So, I mean, this sounds like it's a crazy idea, Ellen, but it just might work. How can people come to the event tonight?
It's at Creative Workshop, the wonderful Creative Workshop down in Butchertown. It starts at 6 o'clock.
Where is the Creative Workshop exactly?
1205 East Washington.
Thank you.
And it starts at 6. You can also sign up in advance for $1 cheaper. It costs $10 at the door and $9 in advance. You can Google us, Tackle with TAC4. We tackle the issues, not each other. And just Google us, and you can find the registration page on Eventbrite.
I'll go ahead and put it on my blog. Okay. I meant to do it this morning, and I forgot. Sorry about that, but I'll do it on this break here that we're coming up to. Do you know what the next debate is? You're trying to suck me into something, but and I told you I needed a cooling off period, so we'll see. And people are now going, what the heck does it? No, but it'll happen very soon.
We do these the fourth Tuesday of every other month, so it'll be the end of May 20-something. I think it's 29th or something like that. Fourth Tuesday.
And we'll be talking about it on the show before the next event. But tonight is happening. I'll put it on my blog right now, how to sign up, all the information if you'd like to go down and see this event. Alan Claypool, a joy as always. Can't wait to hear how this worked out.
All right.
We'll be back right after the news, traffic, and weather. Keep it on 84 WHAN.